Good morning, everyone. It's Tom Sidney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Site Club and from the Tom Numbers Show. And I've got Mr. ISMAEL Perez in the house. ISMAEL, how are you, mate?
I'm doing well, my friend. Thank you for asking, and thank you for having me here. It's been a very long summer for me, actually.
Yeah, it's been an interesting summer. So, where are we right now? So from my perspective, I've seen Judgment Day come and go, which was 129, which is your name. ISMAEL Perez is 129. But interestingly enough, it seems like they've changed it on the timelines. Mm-hmm. So when you spell the word Judgment Day, they've taken the E out, which takes it to 124, which is gigawatts, which is New Jersey. So some fascinating things. So I've been looking for, big kind of things, but maybe they're subtle changes in the time continuum. I don't know if you've experienced anything like that, but where do you think we are right now?
We're at the finish line. Yeah.
Okay.
The forces of light have secured the victory in every probable reality, both in the future and in the past. Because see, at the highest level of this war between good and evil, it's a war of the timelines. Because why fight? Why fight it on a physical front where you could just travel back in time and alternate the timeline and win the war? So from a higher perspective, it is a temporal war between, and the ancient AI, right? The cosmic virus, and of course, the central race of the mother universe. And so the headquarters of that is in the future, of course, but there was many timelines that were developed, or different parallel scenarios, universes, as a result of this altering the timeline over and over and over. So what the forces of light have been doing is they actually pin the dark forces on every probable reality. So it's just a matter of it taking place here in our world. And that's what we're witnessing now, is the final defeat against evil. So yeah, because we're at the hub. We're at the hub of all these probabilities and, future and past scenarios. We're at the hub.
Well, that's good to hear. It feels like we're getting there. And I was saying this on another video recently. Oh, I should have said this at the beginning, but I think you've got a new YouTube channel, haven't you? Is that right?
It's not me. It's somebody else.
Oh, it's not you. Okay. Forget that then. What's the best way for people to find you?
On Instagram, I'm active there. I'm under Project Restoration Zion 1.
Okay.
I also have a Facebook, ISMAEL Perez, and Project Restoration Zion. And okay. I'm also on Twitter under Rise of Zion.
Okay.
And those are my three platforms.
Good. That's where they can find you. I was going to say as well, I should have said it. I'm not even wearing one today, but people will see below. If you want to get Tom Numbers t-shirts, you can. I've been wearing them all like the last few weeks, but I haven't got it on today. But you can click them below. And also, I'm going to be on tour, on the Truth Tour, with Lewis Holmes and Mark Atwood and a whole bunch of people. And we're doing the perimeter of the US. So that's the housekeeping I just wanted to get out of the way at the beginning. So look up ISMAEL on his sites. Sign up to mine on the Tom Numbers Show and on Site Club, and make sure you're subscribed. Click the notification bell. So just make sure you do that, and you've got Telegram as well, and all the other channels. So yes, please, let's continue this.
So actually,
Lewis, I just called you Lewis. ISMAEL, Lewis. Sorry, Lewis is who I'm doing the tour with. ISMAEL.
Oh, actually, I'm going to make a correction. It's actually Project Restoration Zion 1. There's a 1 after Zion.
I remember. The 1 I remember, because we spoke about that last time when we did the show on my other channel. Yeah, 1.
Unfortunately, I have a lot of imposters and fake accounts that are posing as me, and I guess that's given, right? When you're trying to influence the world in a positive way, there's always going to be fake accounts that are going to try to mislead people or try to, offer readings that which is all baloney anyways. But
yeah.
That's what I'm dealing with right now on Instagram. I have like 10 other accounts that are posing as me, and and we report them, and I have all my people report them, and they do nothing about it. They do nothing.
So talking of the timeline, so I was saying this in one or two shows I've done recently, and it feels to me, this is kind of an analogy that kind of makes sense in my head, but it's always evolving. So the timeline changing. There's a documentary film called What the Bleep Do We Know, that came out maybe 15, 17 years ago, something like that. And it talks about quantum physics. But there's a part with playing basketball in it, and all these different basketballs all over the court. to try and illustrate the quantum field. And I think, or maybe I got this from somewhere else, but there's a skipping rope part. And that's the way it feels like to me. Like there's these two skipping ropes kind of moving as a wave back and forth. And things just seem to be flipping, changing kind of day by day, maybe moment by moment. And that's what it feels like to me. It feels, and then we're seeing small evidence of it in terms of the actual field changing, like the Mandela effect. So one example Lewis gave me the other day was the film We Are the Champions by Queen. Sorry, the song We Are the Champions by the band Queen, Freddie Mercury, etc. And at the end of the song, people will probably remember, they say as the film, why do I keep saying film? As the song comes to an end, it peters out and it says, "We are the champions of the world."
Yeah, I've heard that. It's a lovely song.
Now that part has disappeared. It seems to have been removed from the collective memory. And I've looked it up online, and videos that were played of it, has millions of views. I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago on the Queen, YouTube. You can't hear it. It's not on when you listen to on Apple Music. It's not on there. But Lewis is saying he's got a vinyl record of it, which would have been made ages ago, and it's not on there either. So there's these subtle changes, and like I say with the film Terminator 2: Judgment Day, which I always go on about. I watched it with Rachel Wright So Blonde just the other night, and we were talking to Mark Atwood about it, and she noticed immediately that the E has disappeared. So it's JUDGment, and then day instead of, and it seems like there are two ways to spell it, but for the life of me, I don't remember it being that way. And it changes the number code, and so it's like, okay, Judgment Day has come and gone, but they've changed the spelling of it. That's what it feels like. I don't know if you've noticed kind of subtle changes like that in the fabric of our reality, and you're like, I know that was the case, but it's not now.
Yeah, it's called the Mandela effect, where different parts of our history are literally alternating as if something else happened, or even we see it in a lot of movies, not just in those two or in songs, but we see it in commercials, we see it in movies where things are just slightly changed. And again, a lot of this has a lot to do with the timeline war that we're involved with. It's called a temporal war, and we could say that in our realm, the device that they're using for this is in Switzerland. I'm not going to mention names. It's the
okay, yeah, that one, yeah,
the huge collider, yeah, exactly. And that's been used by the black T-shirts in order to alternate the timeline and shift us into the omega version of our galaxy, because there's 12 versions of our galaxies. We exist in the alpha version, where the forces of light won the war. There's galactic pizza everywhere. The Earth became liberated. Humans were able to transform, ascend, reach higher levels of consciousness, given the technology, and everything was just beautiful. And then we have the Omega version, where, the bad guys won, the artificial intelligence rules it. And then we have every version in between, where different scenarios played out. So this thing in, Switzerland has been trying to thwart us into this Omega version. And so, they haven't been successful, because not only do we have intelligences that are coming from advanced worlds within the Milky Way, but we also have guardians that are beyond the Galactic Federation, that are beyond the Galactic Councils, coming from what I call the fourth and fifth harmonic universe, where, they exist from dimensions 10, 11, and 12, 13, 14, and 15, in other words. And they're also assisting us as far as protecting the stargates, so that they don't open up any wormhole or some sort of a portal, which is something that they've been trying to do since its inception, right? But the forces of light from a level of reality beyond the local universe have been assisting us, because of the fact that this is the most important planet. So thank God, thank God that they're here, securing the ascension for us, because what happens here, Tom, is going to affect the entire multiverse. It's going to affect every probability. Like I said earlier, this is the hub of all of creation, the entire multiverse. And that's how important we are. So the Stargates are, as I speak, they're being carefully guarded by these advanced races. Do you know about the different harmonic universes? We're part of the first harmonic universe.
Yeah, I remember when we've done shows before, the one we did before, and when you kind of first, kind of became in my reality and a lot of people watching. So I remember you talking about that, but we can go into that more. One question I've got as well, though. So when you talk about in Switzerland, is there an alternative to that the white hats are doing? That they're able? Are they able to change the? Are they the ones doing these Mandela effects as well? Or is
No,
it just purely on the other side?
yeah, it's the dark T-shirts have been doing the Mandela effects.
Okay. And what would the white hats be doing to counteract that? Do they have? I'm assuming they must be able to correct anything that is really severely detrimental, as opposed to an E coming out of the title Judgment Day and the last kind of fade out line on the Queen song. I'm assuming those things aren't super massive, but there must be maybe other things that are affected that we haven't noticed yet. But I'm assuming that the white hats, if needs be, could counterbalance and correct those things, and also maybe do even better versions of a timeline.
And they are. It's a war that's being fought on different fronts. As you know, the white hats do have access to time travel technology, and yes, they have been correcting and all and counteracting everything that the dark hats have been trying to execute. But the white hats
is that through Looking Glass or other name technology that they're using?
Yeah, the Looking Glass is one of them, but they also have technology where they could literally physically travel in time. But we have to be careful when we do that, because when you do that, you alternate the entire timeline of the entire universe.
Okay. What would that? Do they have a name for that technology?
I think it's called. It has a lot to do with Project Pegasus. I don't know if it's got a particular name.
Pegasus.
But it's under the umbrella of Pegasus, and like I said, the white hats are working with higher intelligences, members of the galactic community, and then of course members of the central race, which hail from the 12th dimension and up, which come from the central universe. So it's a collaborated effort to pin down pretty much the dark hats on every probable reality, so that they could so it could obviously be shown here in our timeline when any day now. So we're just waiting for that, Tom. We already won the war.
It's interesting you say Pegasus. I'm doing this from memory, and I don't have my calc in front of me, but I think Pegasus is 88 Trump. I might be wrong on that, but if it is, Project is 87, which is Truth, which is Stellar, and you add those together, it would be 175, which is Consciousness, and also Diana Francis Spencer, which is interesting. I need to check that. I'll double check that, but I think Pegasus is 88 from memory from a year or so ago. Project Trump. Okay, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so we don't have to worry about the thing over there in Switzerland. It's literally now under the care and control of the white hats. The white hats are there, and they're making sure that no malicious things are being done anymore. Yeah.
What do we have to look forward to, say, in the next kind of coming? Well, we're in summer, kind of coming into fall, autumn. But what do we look for, say, the next kind of 2 months? What are you looking to see?
There's a huge shift coming. I think on the 23rd or 21st of this month, fall solstice, and that's
21st.
The 21st of this month. And many believe that could be, the disclosure, that could be, EBS, the transference, right, of world's wealth and the distribution into of the elites into the masses, right? The new programs, Gesera and stuff. So many believe that could be the case, especially recently, because as of 2 months ago, the Earth has been initiated into what I call the United Federation of Planets here in our local star system, and this is taking place here in our solar system with the Jupiter command leading the way. So what ended up happening was back in 2016, when the members of the Rock Confederacy came to seal our solar system, they created some sort of they pretty much pinned down the dark side here in our solar system. All the regressives didn't have access to our solar system anymore because they put an electromagnetic field around it. And so the regressives that were here were actually, arrested, and some of them actually fled. And that initiated a whole series of treaties where all the different advanced space stations that we've developed, or the infrastructure of the secret, breakaway programs, have been handed over to the Alliance and the White Hats because of what happened in 2018. And so just so recently in was it July July 27th, was it? Yeah, July 27th, 2022, the Earth was officially initiated into the United Federation of Planets, with the Jupiter command leading the way. So now we have our entire solar system now operating under the Alliance, and all the advanced technologies, all those different space stations, the Lunar Operating Command, Arius Prime, and all those. There's about 100 colonies that we recuperated from the Dark Fleet and the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate. And it's just so recently that the Earth joined the United Federation of Planets. So all this is taking place from behind the scenes, which is awesome. It's just a matter of time before they divulge this information and bring this disclosure to the general public here on the surface world.
I don't know if it was one of your videos or someone else's, but I caught a glimpse of something saying that President Trump had been, I think, out on the moon or another planet having meetings. Does that resonate with you? You the one talking about that?
Yes. Yeah. President Trump has been working with the Federation. He is a huge alliance, can I say, a proponent. He's a huge component of the alliance. Also the leader of Russia. They're actually buddies. Even though they seem like they're not really talking. Yeah, they're working together. But he's definitely going off world. And meeting with the with members of the Confederation. But he's also working with how can I say it? He's working very hard from behind the scenes to bring forth this information, and a lot of the advanced technology has already been given to the Space Force, by the way. So the Space Force already inherited interplanetary and stellar technology, and it's just a matter of time before they start, mass producing these med beds and all these healing devices that they're about to bring forth to the public. So Trump is a huge factor in that. He wants all this alternative healing modalities to be given to humanity, but he just can't talk about it, obviously. But he is working in secret with the Federation.
It's interesting you say Space Force, because Space Force was the first video I ever did back in May 2020, and I talked about President Trump, Ivanka Trump, Q, the Kennedys, Diana, and Space Force, because there was a video of President Trump in his office at would have been the Oval Office, talking about the significance of Space Force, and there was a Space Force flag ceremony. And this, but Space Force is the same symbol as Star Trek,
exactly,
and so they've been doing that, Gene Roddenberry disclosure since the 60s, and when you said the Space Force, that comes to 124, which comes to the new spelling of Judgment Day without the E. So that's interesting. And yesterday, obviously, President Trump was at the rally, and he was, keeping everyone's spirits high. It seemed pretty energetic, that one yesterday. That seemed really pretty potent and powerful. Do we know how President Trump will travel to the moon and other places, around the cosmos as and when is necessary?
He hasn't been beyond our solar system. He's only been to the Lunar Operating Command, which is like I said, it's under the control of the Alliance.
So just the moon. We're talking about just the moon. No further. Or
he's also been to the Jupiter station, the Jupiter station.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's also been to the Prime Area station in Mars. So he's been checking out the colonies in Mars, and my God, we have a huge stellar infrastructure on Mars. In fact, our entire solar system has been decked out as a futuristic scenario. So him and the Russian guy, by the way, they both go off back, and they go through portals. They don't take ships. They don't use ships. It's just a quick. It's a portal.
It's a quick.
They go. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that way, he could be. So that way he could be in a meeting taking place with the Alliance and members of the Federation, the Earth delegates, of course, as they're called, and then he could be home in time to have dinner with his wife and kids.
Okay. And are those portals? Is it? I mean, you've got the Marvel movies, with Doctor Strange, and he'll kind of just create a portal and go. Is it something like that, or is it a physical location where you kind of go into the portal and then you get beamed or transported, or is it sometimes both or something else?
It could be in some cases it's both, but in order to secure his transference from our planet to off-world station, he has to go into a base. Yes. He has to go to a particular location where it's carefully guarded, his own private secret service. We have members of the Alliance, and of course we have members of the Federation that are protecting him at the same time.
Okay.
He works very closely with the Pleiadians, and the reason being is because his wife is a Pleiadian commander. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Melania,
Yeah.
And are those bases then connected to, say, places like Mar-a-Lago,
Absolutely.
Trump Tower?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. When did so Melania, being a Pleiadian, was she, when she was Melania announced, I think I'm saying that correctly, so before she met President Trump, she was a model, and she was, Melania now, so I think I'm saying correct. Was that, did Melania, so when did, so the lady from the Pleiadians, did she kind of come and kind of merge with Melania Naus, or did Melania Naus, was she born and brought up just as a normal human, but as a Pleiadian, and then kind of got activated at a certain point in time to fulfill her role and mission now?
I believe she is a walking. I believe that sometime in her, well, you know what a walking is, right? It's
I think I can gather from the description, but yeah, please say.
Okay, so it's a contract that is arranged between two souls. One is an advanced soul and one is not as an advanced soul. So that a non-advanced soul is born into the body, but at some point in that life, there is a switch where that non-advanced soul switches with the advanced soul, and then the advanced soul takes over the body. So that's what a walking is.
Okay.
So sometime during her teenage years, I believe, is when the walking, I think maybe even her post-teenage years, 18, 19, 20, that's when she had a transference of souls. And so the Pleiadian walking, came and took over her body because, again, it was all arranged by the higher ups in order to bring forth, the victory of the light. And they needed her as his number one protector. Despite of what we see in the media, that's all just, show. It's all for show. It's really not how it seems. She's really in love with him. She really protects him. She cares about him.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that he's a huge part in this, in the bring down of the dark t-shirts.
Yeah.
Okay? Huge part in that. And he was actually prophesied about. He was prophesied about. And so he's fulfilling prophecy. And
well, he's the Trump, isn't he? He's the Trump in the Bible.
Exactly. Pretty much. Yeah. So he's fulfilling prophecy, and she was assigned to him. So she's an extraterrestrial Pleiadian walking.
Okay. What happens to the less advanced soul? So do they just go to another body? They pass over? Is it a kind of a pleasant death in some way? What happens to that other being? Or do they kind of hang around and advance with the advanced soul? Or what happens?
Oh, that other being or the less advanced soul actually just either reincarnates again as a regular person, or goes off another dimension, depending on what the contract was about. How they arrange things. But every soul, can I say it? Eventually incarnates again. No.
Okay. And is that just a literal kind of timing thing? So Melania, the advanced being, the Pleiadian, she'd be doing other things and doesn't necessarily need to go through an earth process of, being a kid, a child, a teenager, because she's got other stuff to do. Is it kind of just a purely practical reason, or is there any other reason to that?
Well, she came in with the entire agenda, and the plan was to protect him, to eventually be with him and stuff. And that's why the universe brought them together when the time was right. Was it like even 15 to 20 years before he ran? I don't know. But I think, it happened in that way.
Okay.
In order to prepare the way, for him coming into the limelight and running for president. So
and the process of the walk-in, is it literally just like a twinkling of light, the next morning or whenever it happens, they literally become the new being? Or is there something else? Is there a kind of a gestation period, or is it literally just like that?
It's just like that. The soul leaves, the new soul comes in, and it's like it's almost like the new soul has to remember, and remember who the parents were, who the family members were. They have to relearn everything.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They have to almost introduce themselves to everyone.
Yeah.
Because they don't really know what it's not like they have the memories of the old soul, so they have to relearn everything in this new body.
Okay. And I guess because they're so advanced, they could probably do that fairly quickly because of who they are and their capacities.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's really interesting, this concept, actually, Ishmael, because there are people that I know, people that I've seen, people that are famous in the world, but personal people that I know. And you look at old photographs of them, and they look like they're different people. Like there's a light in them now. They look different. They look just way more capable, more beautiful, more advanced, just more vibrant than they did, say, 10, 15 years ago. So I'm wondering how often that occurs. And these people that I know seem to be having a positive effect on this big pit, the actions that we're in now, to advance humanity and bring it into the light. They seem to be playing an active role in that. That's what I'm detecting from them.
It's true. There's been some of the extraterrestrials here in human form weren't born, as a baby, like a lot of the star seeds were. They were actually walkings. A good percentage were walkings. Yeah.
10%. Yeah.
I would say probably about 14 to 15% of the star seeds or the aliens in human form down here are walkings.
Yeah. Okay. Do we know much about who Baron Trump is? He seems to be very important on the board and almost kind of waiting to be activated. But do we have a sense of who he is? Because obviously he's with Melania and with Donald, so he must have a mega role.
Yeah, he's also a Pleiadian. Yeah, but
Okay.
he wasn't a walking. He was actually an indigo child, just like the rest of us. Was born, as a through the womb and was able to be a baby and stuff. So he's definitely a Pleiadian as well.
Okay. And do we know who Donald, like what star system Donald's from? Sorry, go on.
In space, in our local cluster of stars, the Pleiadians have been the ones that have been fighting, the Draco and stuff. So, okay. In terms of the Bible, they're considered the angels, and of course the Draco are considered the demons, the fallen angels. And so that's why the Pleiadians are the main race that have been helping the Earth Alliance and the Whiteheads. They are the ones that gave William Tompkins the tech back in the 1950s in order to develop solar ward, so that we could defend ourselves, right? Because the negative aliens broke the prime directive when they gave the tech to the dark side. And so
William Tompkins developed the solar warden technology. Is that what you just said?
Yes, he was the primary engineer when it came to developing the 8 cigar ships that are like miles long. Those are the motherships we've been using. He was also instrumental in the developing of the 3RB3, the triangle ships that could go also in water and then come back and so a lot of those advanced anti-gravity machineries or craft, whatever you want to call them, or engineer, he's the one who pretty much was like the brain behind all that. Okay. And he even admitted that he was actually channeling information from the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians were giving him, a set of instructions when he was developing the prototypes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You mentioned, well, I'll part that. I want to ask a question about solar warden, but quickly I wanted to ask: do we know where Donald Trump is from? So Melania and Baron of Pleiadian. What system is President Trump from?
President Trump he's a Nordic Pleiadian. He's one of the because we have negative Nordics and then we have positive Nordics. The negative Nordics are aligned with the Draco and the Dark Fleet, the Nazi Draco alliance and stuff. But yeah, he's a good Nordic because the Pleiadians is mixed. You have brunettes, you have Nordics, and then you have everything in between. Like that's they're kind of like a potpourri of the galaxy, and then we're like the melting pot of them. So okay, that's why we resemble the Pleiadians more so than any other race out there.
Do we get a Pleiadians blonde as well? Sometimes you think of them as blonde, blue-eyed. Are Pleiadians blonde as well sometimes?
Yeah, there's a good portion of the Pleiadians where they're Nordic, blonde hair, blue eyes. There's another portion of Pleiadians where they would appear to be Italians or from Spain or from Greece. They have the dark hair, they have the Mediterranean, they tan, they look bronze.
Yeah.
There's another group of Pleiadians that look Asian, that literally look like they're from China. And then there's another group of Pleiadians that look like they're Aztec or, Mayan. They have strong indigenous features. Or Cherokee, yeah. So the Pleiadians is a mixture of races as well. But the main, I guess, if we want to say like in terms of like the guardianship of the Pleiadians is protected by the Council of Alcyon, which is a central sun, and that the king of that is Zeus. Zeus is real. He's actually a Pleiadian. He wasn't a god. He was actually a Pleiadian. He was not only guardian of the earth, but he was also guardian of the entire cluster of the Pleiadians.
Okay. And then so you say President Trump is a good Nordic or good Northern Pleiadian, is that right? Is that the term?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then going back to Solar Warden, so I know you've mentioned this before and others have. Can you just go into a bit more what Solar Warden is? Because I only know a little bit about it.
Okay, so for Solar Warden is the benevolent secret breakaway group. It's actually our interplanetary police force. It was initiated and developed when the negative regressives broke the prime directive by giving the Nazis the tech in the early 1940s, which gave rise to the first breakaway group, known as the Dark Fleet. And then of course they did the same with the Dark Hats that were in charge of the banking dynasty, right? And through the military industrial complex, they developed the ICC. And so in order to combat that, the Pleiadians gave the tech to William Tompkins, who was working with the Navy. And then that's how Solar Warden was initiated by the White Hats. See, the White Hats have always been around, okay? And that's one of the disclosures. That's part of the disclosure. People think that they just kind of emerged in 2016 as whatever, the military operation, but no, they've been around for a long time. Actually, they've been around for as long as there's been civilizations here on the earth. If you want to go back to Atlantis, that's where they originated. But going back to answering your question, so Solar Warden was developed by the White Hats in collaboration with the Galactic Federation, particularly mainly the Pleiadians, so that we could begin protecting ourselves and our solar system from these invading forces. And so there's two branches of Solar Warden. The first one is called Radiant Glory, and Radiant Glory was given jurisdiction of our solar system between here and the asteroid belt. And then beyond the asteroid belt, Solar Warden was given jurisdiction all the way up into what would be the entire galaxy. So Solar Warden has been operating throughout the entire Milky Way. And thanks to our super soldiers from Solar Warden, we were able to regain the war, win the war against the Orion Empire for the third time after the Galactic Federation secured it 2 times prior to that. So we won it for one final last time. And then just recently, our super soldiers came back in 2018. That's when they came back to the Earth. So now there's peace in our galaxy because of the super soldiers of Solar Warden. Now there is a third branch. This third branch is known as Radiant Guardians. Well, there's 2 factions to that. One of them has been working with Solar Warden in defense of our Milky Way galaxy, and the other one is a branch that is working outside of our galaxy and outside of our local universe. This is a faction that where only 100 individuals were picked to go off and fight, and protect the other universes, pretty much, to bring harmony and balance to other universes. So to the cosmic community, the super soldiers of Radiant Guardians and Solar Warden are considered like the superheroes. Everybody loves us. So
are you one of them then?
I worked with Radiant Guardians. I was part of the third branch, which was instrumental in the war against the cosmic AI in other universes. So I was one of those 100 individuals.
So Marvel and DC, interesting.
Very true.
How do you spell Tompkins? Is it Tomkins?
THOM.
Oh, with a P. With a P. TOM.
Like Thomas, THOM, and then Kins, KINS, Tompkins.
Oh, with no P though. No P.
There is a P. THOMP. Sorry, KINS. Tompkins. You're right.
Okay. Tompkins. I have to work that one out. I know you talk about super soldiers, but I know that the name William comes to 79, which is super, and it's also atomic number for gold, and wonder. So like Wonder Woman, Superman, Super. Yeah, William. Okay, interesting. That's cool.
You know, we all have different space names when we're out there and fighting in
And
these
yours is William?
No, mine was actually Superman. They called me the Man of Steel. That was my name.
That was when you were one of the 100. That's what they called you.
Yes, because they ranked me up to use 65% of my genetic material. At
Yeah.
potential, I was able to defy gravity. I was able to shoot laser with my eyes. I was, you know, indestructible. I was able to pick up tons of, you know, I could pick up a whole tractor, you know, 3 cars, and like, yeah, I had super strength and all that, among other abilities. But again, you know, these abilities were needed in order to, you know, fight against some of these AI villains that were extremely powerful. But again, we were able to kick their butt and bring peace to many regions of other universes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my my nickname. And it's funny because a lot of people say I throw off the Clark Kent or the Superman vibe.
Yeah, yeah, I've noticed that. So, and Superman, he was when his asteroid star, well, his capsule landed. That was in Kansas, which is interesting. So,
well, you know, the real story behind Superman is there was a Kal in our galaxy, and he was the king of Sirius B.
was
Yeah,
it?
yeah, that's where
Okay.
you could say that the origins of the Guardians of our galaxy came from. They came from the center of the galaxy, and they were able to create a stronghold in Sirius B, and then by admixing 2 royal bloodlines, one that came from Michael from Lyra, and then one that came from the center of the galaxy to create, which from an advanced etheric race, to create even a more powerful lineage. And Kal was the result of that. And so Kal represents, you know, a very advanced being that was designed by the multiverse to protect our solar system. And through his lineage, you could say we had, you know, Zeus was born in his lineage. So Zeus comes from the line of Kal. And that's why there's so many similarities between the Guardians of Atlanteans, which were the Olympians, right? Zeus and the Council of 12, and the Guardians of Sirius, which were, you know, those that were part of which were Kal in his people and stuff.
So when you Kal-El, like for Superman, Kal-El.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that story. Except
Kal-El.
the planet wasn't called Krypton. The planet was called, I believe it was, it orbited Sirius B. I forget the name of the planet. It could have been Krypton, now that I think about it. But the story was written by 2 Jewish boys who helped to the concept of this Messiah coming from the sky with supernatural abilities and overthrowing the Roman Empire, which is the reason why the Jews today don't believe that Jesus was the Christ, because they were expecting a 6'3" Adonis, you know, buffed out, coming with lightning and throwing the Roman Empire and liberating Israel. And that was what the original prophecy said. So that's why the Jews don't believe that, you know, Jesus was the Messiah, because they were expecting a literal Superman.
Okay. So Kal-El. Okay. And there was a question with that as well. What was it? Yeah. So with your abilities, what sort of Earth time are we talking about? Was this like kind of a decade ago, back in the 40s or 50s? When were you doing those things with the 100?
Well, how it works is, okay, I was born in 77. So I do remember having 3 occasions where I had missing time at the age of 16, 17, and 18. And from what I recall, based on my research and my memories, is that they take you to be part of a 20-year and back program. But in my case, it was 60 years and back, because we were working in other universes. And so time works differently in every universe. In fact, every universe has its own set of parameters and laws of physics. It's weird the way that works. Not every universe operates according to the same laws. You know, they
with that a different numbering system as well.
I believe so. Yes, because they're on the system of the 12. There's universes that operate with the system of the 11, 10, so on and so forth. So
that makes sense. I thought that for a while. Yeah.
And so I just so how they do it is they take you off for about 60 years. Yeah, you do age, but then they age regress you. They blank slate your memories, and they bring you back within minutes of when they took you. So it's like nothing ever happened. It's like you have no clue that you went off for 60 years and you were off fighting in these cosmic wars, and then you came back within what, 2 minutes. What seemed to be 60 years was really just 2 minutes because of the technologies that they employ. And so that happened to me 3 times. So technically I'm supposed to be over 500 years old if they hadn't age regressed me through 3 times.
Wow. So you must have gone for even longer on the second or third one. You must have gone into the hundreds of years.
No, they were all 60 years. Yeah, and in Radiant Guardians, we use 60 years and back. In Solar Warden, they use 20 years and back.
Because so you'd be, 180 years plus whatever age you are now?
Yeah, so basically a little over 200 years.
Okay. And I know you say they wiped it, but obviously you're talking about it. So do you have like kind of like a very faint whisper of a memory of it? Because otherwise you wouldn't even have any recollection to talk about unless someone or another way has told you, hey, ISMAEL, were you aware of this when you were 16, 17, and 18?
I have glimpses and memories, of some of the scenarios we were engaged in. But as far as like all the details, no, I'm still waiting to retrieve those memories.
Okay. So is that part of the process? So when they wipe your mind, you have a whisper of it? Because we all have kind of deja vus and memories, and it's like, hang on, what, there's something there, but you can't kind of pinpoint it. Is that part of the contract? So they wipe it, but now we're going through this ascension where everything will be revealed. Is that part of the contract that you're allowed to retrieve those memories of your actions, when you were 16, 17, and 18?
I think that the reason I don't have access to all my memories is for the sake of protection. I can't really reveal everything yet, but when the time is right, I'm going to have access to all that memory, and then I'm going to be able to talk about it.
So they'll give that back. They will give that back to you.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, because the groups that I was working with are all benevolent. They're just doing this to protect me, because I'm also under strict surveillance, and protection, where they're constantly monitoring me. Everywhere I go, I sense a ship just right above me. Of course, the ship is cloaked; nobody else can see it. But my God, it does miracles for me, Tom. Like I see myself in situations where I would have been in trouble, and I always get out of it because of the fact that the ship is there. The ship always does wonders. It clears paths for me. I don't know what it is, but I'm always being monitored.
That's cool. I've noticed. Sorry, go on.
By the good guys, of course.
Yeah.
And the bad guys, they know about me, and the only reason they can't do anything to me is because they know that I am very important in the future war against AI, because they know that even their own life depends on this, defeat against the AI, which has already taken place. The future and the past, it's all happening at the same time. So we already won that war. And one of the reasons why I know is because of my future version that was, involved in that war has been feeding me intel about how we won the war against the AI in the near future. And that's awesome.
Are we able to get to the point where, because as you know, I'll remind you, I'm a big movie fan buff, and Back to the Future is a big one. And I have a lot of connections with that movie in terms of personal Easter eggs and things in there and things I've noticed. And Janine said I helped with the funding of that in the future, my future self, etc. So a lot of people will know that background story. But I'm wondering, are there other future versions of ourselves on the Earth physically right now, but we haven't collided with or come into contact?
I believe so. Yeah, I think so. And it's probably a reason why we haven't come into contact with them. But again, there are versions of ourselves that are coming from the future to help us,
Yeah. They're aware of us.
But a lot of the times they come from the future. A lot of the times they come from the future to protect us.
Right. Yeah.
Because if they don't protect you, then that's gonna cause them to non-exist. If something happens to you here, that's erase their existence in the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's John Connor and Sarah Connor from Terminator. Yeah. Marty McFly from Back to the Future. It's all of those things. Yeah. I sense that. I haven't, and sometimes I feel like, it'd be nice just to bump into my future self and have a chat, and I feel that they're aware of us, because you're talking about you can't see them, but you're getting protected by ships. So I've in the last few months, I haven't seen any yet per se here in the States, but definitely in England over the last couple of months, I've noticed I've been deliberately looking, and I've noticed ships high up in the sky, but there were these red and green, like low-level craft, and on the surface they could have been drones, but you can't hear anything. There's no whirring of a motor, and they would dance, and they would kind of change. They'd go from one light to another and back and forth, and then they kind of expand and contract and then whiz off. And they did kind of offer some protection. Well, they did in a certain situation just a couple of weeks ago, and I felt like I should move from the situation, but then they kind of confirmed and popped up. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to walk away. Janine did some reads on that. Said, yeah, they're divine, off-world, protection, and they kind of play. I don't know if you've experienced this, but they feel like they're playing with us. It's like almost like a childlike innocence. They say hi, and I say, okay, if you are what I think you are, whiz into the sky 100 meters, and they'll do that, and then it's like, okay, I got the confirmation, and then I say, all right, do it again, and then they kind of joke around and whiz off, and then they'll do their own thing. So it's almost like a child saying hey, and then they've got your attention, and they whiz off, or like an animal, a pet, it kind of comply for a second, and then it will do its own thing. So it's kind of that kind of blend of independence, but also confirmation.
Yeah, many extraterrestrials that are of the light are very playful. A lot of them have childlike mentalities.
Yeah.
Even though they're advanced and they have IQs of 400 to 500 IQs, they're still very childlike. They're still very connected to their child self. And that's where our power lies, by connecting with your inner, child. That's your innocence.
Yeah. You mentioned power. You said you were born in 1977, and 77 is power. It's Christ. It's quasar. Hertz, as in frequencies. And talking of hertz, so I've mentioned this before, but I was in Dealey Plaza last weekend in Texas, in Dallas, where JFK was in '63. And back at that time when that happened, there was an advertising billboard, well, more than a billboard, kind of actual, almost like Hollywood letters above the building, the book depository, but the actual name was Hertz. So you've got you've got Hertz cars, but I don't know if there was another company called Hertz back then, but Hertz is 77, which is frequency. Sorry, not frequency, which is Christ, which is power. So it's interesting that it was at that point with when that happened with JFK. And I mentioned this other guy as well. I believe there's a guardian angel down at Dealey Plaza, someone of the light of the Q team of the Alliance. His name's Don, but he's a gentleman that has religiously been there for 29 years, guardian and telling people about JFK. And I filmed him, and I had a longer film, but I think maybe the Alliance didn't want me to put everything out. So I just have a little 38-second clip, whereas I had 2 or 3, 4 minutes worth, but it somehow had cut off when I looked at my phone and was like, oh, okay. But I thanked him, and Janine did some reads and said, yeah, he's definitely a white hat. And you can just tell when you meet the guy, he has this guardian, wonderful blue eyes, and just a really good, dedicated person. So whether he's of another world, because that's dedication, rain or shine, he's there every day, 29 years worth, that's a real job in itself, but I guess for him, it's an honor, and he does a great job. And there's probably other guardians around the place actually doing similar kind of work, being there constantly as a protector, as a shield, as a beacon of light, because the rest of the place is just kind of not even dead. That's not even the right word. It's just kind of it's just as it is. Although it did feel lighter this time. There was more sunshine. It felt, when I went there last year, it felt kind of weird, but it feels like a lighter place. And he also had the rainbow, had a huge rainbow umbrella. It was bright sunshine, but it was a rainbow. And obviously that's a biblical reference to Enoch and to the millennium and the good times, which was hijacked by other forces, but it's, the rainbow is coming back to light. And rainbow's 82, which is soldier. So maybe that's what they're just saying. Maybe Don is a soldier, of the light. I don't know if you know who I'm on about, but
no, I've never heard of him, but it sounds like he is.
Yeah. So what things should people? I say should. What things could people look out for or be excited about? Maybe going into the next year, 2023, even up to 2024. I know you said between now and 2024, the solar flash will happen, Singularity, is that the same? Will that happen?
Solar flash is different. Singularity has to do with AI reaching a level of intelligence beyond humans. That's
okay, so that's not a good thing.
That's not a good thing, no. So the solar
Okay.
flash is going to be the EMP that is going to destroy the AI infrastructure. So anything to expect in the end of the year in 2023 is disclosure. You know, we're there.
Okay.
They said earlier, we are at the finish line. You know, yeah.
And do we? Is there any shortening of the 2024 for you?
What do you mean shortening?
So you and you were a few months ago when everyone kind of got to know about you. So now you were saying that solar flash will be between kind of any time between now and 2024.
Oh yes.
Is there any shortening of the 2024, or is it still that period of maybe a year and a half, well, like a year and a half to 2.5 years?
I believe it's still that period,
Okay.
I haven't gotten any new revelations or downloads that it has moved forward or backward or anything. They're still telling me 2024, expect the Earth to have first contact with us, expect the Earth to be reinitiated into the galactic community, which explains why the Earth was recently accepted into the United Federation of Planets here in our local solar system, with Jupiter, the Jupiter man leading the way. And so, yeah, I'm just going to stick to between now and 2024.
Well, you said we were accepted into that group. Was there a point eons ago where we were, but we got kind of sent out, cast out, and now we've been reconnected?
Absolutely, yeah. And during the times of Atlantis, we were part of the Confederation and the Federation of Free Worlds, but due to the infiltration and the inversion that took place and the takeover, in order to pin down the dark side here in our galaxy, they narrowed the battle down to just our solar system. And so, due to that, the Earth has been under quarantine from the rest of the galaxy for thousands of years. But that quarantine has recently been lifted when the forces of light secured the interplanetary infrastructure and handed it back to the Alliance. And so now the Earth is in a position to re-enter into the United Federation of Planets, which will be part of the galactic community as we become, as we establish first contact with Federation, which is in progress.
And why Earth? Because you say how Earth is the most important place in the cosmos, and what happens here affects everything else. But what is it specifically about Earth that attracted all the bad stuff? And this has been going on a long, long time. What is it about Earth that makes it so significant?
It's because the Earth is the completion of the entire super universe of Orvonton. In other words,
say that again. Sorry, Dishmael. Say that again.
The Earth here. Let me hold on one second. My battery's about to die. Let me plug in my laptop.
Okay.
The Earth is the completion of the entire super universe of Orvonton.
I'm still here. It's the completion of the entire
super universe. Yeah. See, so the Motherverse is split into 7 super universes. The Earth hangs in the 7th super universe. Okay. So the Earth is like the completing planet, the living library containing all the seeding, flora, and fauna of from across the entire multiverse here within the 7th segment. So it's like the completion of the 7th segment. So what happens with the Earth will ultimately have an outcome on the entire super universe segment. So it's like the completing planet. It's the planet that was picked long ago to finalize the intergalactic experiment of mixing all these different celestial races into one genome, and that's what the human race is. And is the end result of that experiment. And
this experiment has been going on for how many?
Billions of years.
Billions. And then the outcome, the purpose of it is to take us into, so there's 15 dimensions right now, but then they're building another 3.
Yeah. So now we're entering the 13th cycle or the 13th creation, and Earth is going to be the germinating seed that's going to kick that off. While at the same time, we're entering dimensions 16, 17, and 18. In other words, the omniverse is expanding. Okay. So we're going to higher dimensions now. As being part of the body of the omniverse, we're entering higher dimensions altogether.
Okay. And then will we do something similar when we enter those next 3 dimensions to kind of precipitate another kick-on effect to say maybe go from 19 20 to 21. I'm assuming
Oh yeah,
expansion continues, does it?
correct. Yeah, yeah. The omniverse is in a state of constant expansion, and so yeah, we're eventually just going to keep going up in dimensions. And how does that happen? Through the gathering of experience of all the cells, and we are the cells. We are the receptors of the omniverse.
Okay, so it's eternal progress, really.
Yeah, we're dealing with infinity here, my friend. There is no end to energy because energy is indestructible. It only changes form, and
Yeah,
that's what technically everything is. It's just a bunch of energy expressing
yeah,
itself through different, forms of, I guess, things, right?
yeah. Energy 74, Messiah 74, Jesus 74, Nuclear 74, DeLorean 74. Do you think so? And this has been put out for a while, but do you think what are your thoughts on this? So, do we, if we're all one as a collective, as consciousness, and everything in the universe could be labeled as one, but then when we separate into you and me and plants and solar, everything else, is it literally so the universe can experience more of itself through being individual, but also one as a collective? Is that pretty
Absolutely.
accurate?
Yes, because in energy it's still one, but in terms of its fragments, it is everything: plants, planets, us, animals, galaxies, solar systems, universes. It's all one energy field expressing itself through different levels of reality.
Okay. So it's like an ever expanding hologram
Pretty
where
much.
everything is within that, but it's also within that.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Wow. And then when we get to the solar flash, what will the Earth kind of look and feel like? What kind of reality are we going to experience then? Is it going to be a gradual thing, or will it be a real distinct, like we've had the solar flash, now the Earth looks just gloriously beautiful. It's magical. We can fly around. That we've got super technology. Kind of, we've all kind of had images of this presented in Hollywood and things, and maybe just our own imagination. But will it be that, or it will be a continual graduation to that?
It's already happening in increments, but there will be a trigger point where it's going to shift reality within a split second, within a blinking of an eye. The Earth is going to change. Yeah.
I like that because I do believe in the blink of an eye. And then there's the transition to greatness that President Trump talks about, which is also 88 miles per hour, which is the trigger point for when you time travel and everything changes and Back to the Future, and literally like a blink in the eye, blink of an eye. So I do. I hope for that. I hope for the blink of an eye. I think we all kind of deserve it in some way to have our faith rewarded in such a way, and we're all doing this together because I guess our collective consciousness decides, and okay, we're going to go with the help of, I guess, moving around the universe. And when we go through the activation belt or field, as it's called, is that the correct terminology? That when the solar flash occurs, because of a physical reason of our location in the universe, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. What is that? What is that field or parameter? That area in space that we go through. What is that?
It's a portal. It's a portal that our solar system is going to go through and be replaced at the center of the galaxy. Well, also our galaxy and Andromeda are uniting. They're becoming a super galaxy. So it's part of the restoration of our galaxy as well when the solar flash takes place. So we're going to be relocated at the center of our galaxy as Andromeda and our galaxy become one super galaxy. And that galaxy is going to be relocated at the center of the multiverse. So, yeah.
So so you're saying we're going to become central again. So
Yeah.
you and me have spoken briefly about this, about Joseph Smith, the Mormon prophet, and I have origins in that, and you've got an interest in that. So his deeper teachings talked about the earth rolling out because of the fall, so falling outwards, but then being rolled back kind of to the center of the universe.
Yes.
Celestialized.
Celestialized, exactly.
Okay. So it's a physical change as well as a conscious, and I guess they're all connected, aren't they? But rolling back into the center. So Earth will be kind of the jewel of the universe, of the omniverse. Is that kind of correct?
Absolutely, yeah. The prime jewel of the entire multiverse.
Wow. Well, everyone, we're on Earth. You're on the Earth is a 52 ship, Heart as well, 52. So Heart, Earth, ship, kind of makes sense. Yeah. Awesome. All right, buddy. Well, it's been a lot of fun. It's good to catch up with you. I think things are smoother now, so we'll probably be able to do these, on a more frequent basis. But any parting words you want to leave with everyone?
Yeah, just that, sit back, get your popcorn, and enjoy the ride, because things are about to get very nice here on the planet. Prophecies are about to be fulfilled. Also, for those that haven't had a chance to read my book, I strongly recommend ordering Our Cosmic Origin on Amazon. It is the most advanced, dense book when it comes to revealing galactic and cosmic information. It is a book that activates you, and many people are loving it. And I'm also teaching online courses for those that want to know if they're a starseed and they want to go deep into that and connect with their stellar family and learn how to become multidimensional. I do give tools and techniques at the end of the course that will help you activate your galactic self. And I could, give you the descriptions if it's okay with you, for those that are interested.
Yeah, give us the description.
Oh, the links. Sorry for the description.
Oh yeah. We'll put that in there. So actually, you reminded me. So a couple of things. So I remember when you kind of first got hit people in this following, knew who you were. One of the things that caught my attention, you talked about when you were young, when you were a little boy. I think it was your grandmother saw you being able to move objects from one room to the other. Is that sort of stuff that you go into on your course? Are you able to teach people how to kind of discover that ability within themselves again?
Well, I teach them a technique that's going to help them unlock their telekinetic powers, yes, and their telepathy.
Okay. And is that something you can still is that something you kind of rediscovered again? You can kind of play with that and have fun, move the chess piece from here and then into the kitchen sort of thing?
Yes, in my privacy, I still play with telekinesis. Yes, I do.
Okay. I guess that's a good thing for us. Well, I guess that's in our DNA as humans, so we should all that's one thing we can kind of go towards and activate again.
We all have it.
Sorry, go on.
We all have it in us to become telepathic, telekinetic, and much more. Every superhero power that we see in these Marvel movies, it's all accessible within our dormant DNA.
And the techniques that you use, are they are they based in meditation and kind of frequency matching and vibration? Is that sort of the area that we're going into?
Yeah, it's a meditation technique. It deals with breathing, visualization. It's a combination of different things. Okay.
And then once people reach a certain point like that, they'll be able to see and do things that you're describing, moving bits and pieces around, and other gifts can become activated.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Have you had any students that have got to that already since they've been on the course?
I've had several students tell me that they've noticed a difference after applying the techniques. That they're more clairvoyant. They're more in touch with their guides, and they see things they happened. So it's been for those that really apply it, that discipline themselves and really put it into use. Definitely get some results. And the more you do it, the more you activate dormant DNA, the more you reach higher levels of consciousness, which will allow you to become superhuman.
Yeah. What sort of, on the percentile points for DNA, so what's the kind of base point for most people, or even maybe most of our audience, people that are interested in this sort of thing? Are we at 5 or 6, 7%, or is it lower or higher? Where would they be? And then
we're only using 4%.
4%. And then to activate things like telekinesis, being able to move a chess piece from one room to the other, just as a simple example.
So 11 and 12%. We got to go over 10% to do that.
Okay. And then as we're going through these techniques, are there markers? Is it just a knowing, or is there a way to kind of measure, okay, you're now at 8%, you've only got a couple more percent to go?
You'll know because of your frequency. When you begin to raise your frequency through reaching at higher levels of consciousness, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel like levitating at times. You're going to feel electricity running through your body, the sensation. The energy flow is just going to be more magnified. And when you have that, you could do the impossible. You could self-heal yourself. You could project yourself to anyone and heal them, regardless of distance. That's how powerful our minds are.
Wow. That's cool. So we could heal ourselves and heal others.
Absolutely.
Wow. And you mentioned this before, but I think am I right? Is it chapter 8 in your book goes into something that's really kind of special and unique that you haven't maybe discussed too much on your chats, but I think you said to me in one of the messages, it might have been chapter 8 or chapter 9, something about the history of the universe, and you said it just is really kind of mind-blowing. Is that
Well, it starts in chapter 7, and then
Chapter
there's
7.
Galactic History Part 2, chapter 8, and then Galactic History Part 3, chapter 9. So there's 3 parts. There's 3 chapters that go into detail from the beginning, where humans originated in Lyra, to the first war in Lyra, to the wars of Orion, to the Palladian wars, and then finally to the wars that reached our solar system.
Okay. Can you give, so people got a taster of, like, if they purchase the book, something that will kind of whet their appetite to say, okay, I'm going to get this from, can you give us like a maybe just a couple of minutes on some of those key things to whet the palate, whet the appetite for people so they can get the book?
Sure. So basically, the first galactic war broke out in Lyra. That was when the Draco infiltrated us and tried to take us over, and eventually they blew up the Lyran first homeworld known as Avion. So the first Holocaust, the first human desecration in our galaxy, which killed 500 million Lyrans, which was a devastating scenario that took place, happened almost 600 million years ago, and that's when the Draco first discovered that that by torturing a human, they are able to, empower themselves by feeding off of that torture, that pain, that suffering, and that's when they discovered Lush for the first time.
Yeah.
But then there was the event called the Lyran Diaspora, where many Lyrans, also those that were massacred, the refugees, went to different parts of the galaxy, and that's how they jump-started the Palladian Society, the Tasseti, Procyon, Alpha Centauri, and that's how our ancestors gradually populated the Milky Way. It was following the first galactic war with Lyra. And then after that, of course, we went into the Orion Wars, and the Orion Wars have been going on for millions of years. Like I said earlier, it took the Federation 3 times to secure the victory in Orion. The first 2 times it was done by the Federation itself, and then the third time it had to be done by our super soldiers. And so our super soldiers to the galaxy are like the heroes. They call us the Justice League, for the for those that work within Solar Ward and that were instrumental in the Orion Wars. And yeah, that eventually led to the wars here in the Pleiadians, and our solar system happens to be the 8th missing star of the Pleiadians. So, and that actually connects to the ancient history of Lemuria and Atlantis, and how the Earth was seeded several times. We're actually part of the 4th seeding, so we're currently in the 4th seed. So that's just to give you guys a little, I guess.
And you mentioned the 8th with our planet or our solar system is the 8th missing part of
our solar system.
Our solar system, okay. So there's an 8th one, because that's the Pleiadians. You'll know this. It's called the 7 Sisters, or the Pleiades.
We're the 8th sister, the 8th missing sister.
So is it our? So when talking about that analogy of the Earth rolling out, did our solar system also roll out and come back? Will come back again.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Happened. Yeah. Originally, our solar system was part of the Lyran system. It was known as the star system of Vega. So our star is originally was called Vega. Now it's called Solaris or Helios, but it was originally called Vega.
Vega. Okay. Huh. And then us and the solar system will roll back towards the Pleiades.
Well, we're currently in the Pleiadian star cluster, but we're eventually going to reunite with Sirius B and in the center of the universe.
So we're still part of that cluster. So when we look into the night sky and we see that, we're actually part of that cluster.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So it's actually 8 sisters as opposed to 7. Huh. Very cool. Good stuff. All right, buddy. Well, thank you. Check out the links below, and Godspeed, and we'll talk again soon.
Sounds good, brother. It's good chatting with you.
Thanks, Ismael. Take care, man. Bye.